Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is 5 o'clock, and so welcome to council meeting for this beautiful Tuesday, October 12th. Yes, it is a Tuesday, because on Monday we had Thanksgiving, so hopefully everybody had a chance to enjoy some turkey, spend a little time with some friends and loved ones to reflect on the many things that we need to be thankful for in our lives. Members of council, there is an agenda before you. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Your Worship. The Town Council adopt the October 12th, 2021 regular council meeting agenda as presented.
Thank you very much. Members of council, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Okay, and that is carried. Number 3 is the public input session. Administration, has anybody registered to speak at the public input session?
Your Worship, there is no one registered for tonight's meeting.
Okay. Thank you. With that, we'll move on forward. There's nobody here, so we'll move on to presentations and delegations. Today we have 2 presentations. One is from the Stony BMX Association for the recent achievements at the National BMX Championships. Go ahead, administrative staff.
Your Worship, members of council, so we do have a contingent outside in the lobby, and Melanie Sampson, our program manager our recreation services manager will coordinate 4 groups to come in, and council would recognize the 9 individuals that are here with us this evening with their achievements that they've gained in 2021 through their BMX season. So I would just like to celebrate and say thank you for the great work that they've done in this 2021 BMX season. So Mr. Mayor, I think there is a list of names of those that are present today at your station. We also do have some bags at the front to provide a small token of our appreciation to each of the riders this evening, and their names are also underneath the bags for additional reference for yourself. Afterwards, if council's okay with, we'd like to perhaps go outside and take a group photo with all of the participants that are here this evening, if that's okay.
Okay, that sounds good. And reading the background information, looks like the BMX club did fairly well at the Nationals, and a few of them I see hopes to represent Canada in Nadies, France for the 2022 World Championships, which is an incredible accomplishment for our local community and the Stony Plain BMX Association. Okay, so if we can get started with the first ones, go ahead. Wow. What a way to end a council term to recognize some great individuals in our community for their great work and dedication over the last year. I'm not too sure if you've ever known this, but the BMX Association has a partnership with the town of Stony Plain. The land that the track is on is owned by the town of Stony Plain. All the work that's done on the course is owned and done by the club itself. So what a great partnership. And a few years ago, they came and approached the town about expanding that so that they can apply and host some more national competitions instead of regional ones. And the town was a willing partner, and they were able to expand the track and were able to host more events within our community. And if you ever have a chance, strap on those helmets and go for a ride. It is definitely a different experience when you're on top of the bike going over those moguls than watching it from the sidelines. But it is an experience that everyone should at least try once. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to take a 5-minute recess as we go outside to have a picture with all the recipients. Thank you. 5-minute recess. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and members of council. Thank you for taking that small recess for us to go outside and have some pictures with our BMX club. As again, a great representation of our community, and it's awesome to see our youth of community representing Stony Plain so well. Okay, members of council, moving to number 2 of our presentations and delegations, we have the Stony Plain Public Library presenting their 2020 funding request. Welcome to council chambers. And again, if you can speak directly to the mic and just introduce yourselves, and then go ahead and start.
Hi, I'm Mark Gill, the Director of Stony Plain Public Library.
Hi, I'm Shauna Johnstone, the Chair of the Stony Plain Public Library Board. Nice.
Welcome. And go ahead when you're ready.
Go ahead. Do you want to say anything?
Oh, no, please.
Okay. Your Worship and Councillors, thank you very much for taking time out of your agenda today to hear from us. 2020 and 2021 at the Stony Plain Public Library was all about new and moving. There was new COVID restrictions, and then new COVID restrictions, and new COVID restrictions. We had to move out of our old library into our new building. That went along with new branding for our library and new staff, which is the part in the presentation where I subtly remind you that even though I am a familiar face, this is my first time doing this, so be kind.
Subtle. Sorry.
So obviously the pandemic is the biggest impact on the library, as it was with everything this year. So for us, we tried our best to adapt and continue to provide core library services whenever we were able. So while following within municipal bylaws, provincial health orders, and so on. So we tried to move, bob and weave whenever we could. So that meant moving programs outdoors where it was safer. So in the pictures here, you've got a kid's story time. On the right, you've got craft activities going on in conjunction with the Barn Owl. And you're trying to find the bright sides where you can. So there's benefits to being outdoors. Chiefly among them, you can bring your dog to story time at the library. We continue to work in partnership, so whenever able, which was a lot more difficult this year. I know in past years, the library's bragged about how many partnerships we've had in the community. It's a lot tougher to do, but here you've got our summer reading club from this year was outdoors. That was our drama club that we hosted with the Multicultural Heritage Center because we had the program and they had the facility that was best for it. We also, on the picture on the right, we've got, we encourage people to get out into the community. So people would pick up supplies for our summer reading club. Couldn't have activities indoors, so we sent them out and about. They did scavenger hunts through downtown, bringing them into our local businesses and promoting Stony Plain to its own residents. We also moved things online wherever we could, so varying degrees of success, as I think most people experience. So we had a kids cooking program, which sounds like lots of fun. We've been working on digital literacy skills, especially with adults, and there's obviously a big hurdle to try and teach adults with low tech skills how to develop tech skills over Zoom or Google Meets, but you have to try. That's part of our mission. It's what we're here for, and so it was we adapted even those programs to online delivery. Throughout the pandemic, we continued to provide library materials, books, movies, DVDs, video games, etc., through curbside delivery, and always changing and adapting as much as we could within the allowances. So it was a very challenging year and a half and counting, but I think that we did a very good job of meeting community needs as best we could. The second big theme for our year was moving. Moving a library is no small task. I chose these pictures. These are empty crates that were soon to be full crates of all the things that we moved from our location in Forest Green Plaza to our new beautiful location in downtown Stony Plain. We of course had contractors and subcontractors helping us with the different parts, but also a lot of hard work from staff, especially in a normal year. I think the library would have made a great use of our big pool of volunteers, but with COVID that was not possible. So I know council have all been in the new library. I'm preaching to the converted to some degree, I'm sure, but I do need to show off the new library. Oh, sorry, I forgot this one part. Those partnerships that the library's been working on for years and years, there are little benefits to it. And so here's a picture of David Fieldhaber from the Pioneer Museum, along with their volunteers who moved our train from our old location to our new location. That train was the most requested item to be put in our new library. What new features do you want in the library? People said, we want the old train. We've now had generations of Stony Plain residents playing on that train, people that played on it as kids, bringing their kids to play on it now. So in our new library, we had less than ideal circumstances to open, but we did open. March 18th, we started serving the public. On the left, you can see the first person to be served at the new public library. And then on the right, some of yourselves, as well as Dane Lloyd and Cyril Turton, there for our official ribbon cutting ceremony. And it was a lot of hard work, but the result is that we have a beautiful new building. We've gotten so much praise from members of the community about what a great facility it is. And of course, people are looking forward to when we can fully operate. The new building is not all eye candy. There's also, we have some automation to help improve library processes. So the automated materials handler on the left will do a lot of the sorting that had been done by hand by staff in the past. And we have 2 self-checkout kiosks, so to help cut down on wait times when people are waiting to speak with staff just to get their books and get out of the library. We want to make that as pleasant an experience as possible. So it's a new building, it's beautiful, it's a modern library, and absolutely a benefit to the community. In past years, the library has shown you a lot of statistics about where we've been and where we're going, and 2020 kind of ruined statistics for a long time. I can't really compare 2020 and 2019. All the numbers were down in 2020. They're still down this year. But just to give you an idea, this is our circulation, so a good proxy measure for library use. And you can see that on this chart, it totally mirrors the pandemic and restrictions. The one exception being last February, everything, not only were COVID restrictions quite severe at that time, but the library was closed because we were moving. But the nice thing that we do see is that when restrictions lift, usage comes back very quickly. And the other thing I wanted to show is that this is from January of 2020 to September of this year. The number of members, active card-using members of the library has remained pretty constant through that time. So people aren't necessarily coming as regularly. We don't have programs for everyone like we like to, but people are still coming to the library and still getting use out of it. Because we've been adaptive and able to meet needs under the circumstances. So now on to the 2022 budget. Our budget this year, our ask to the town is static with last year. We're asking for the same amount of money. We're expecting that this year our funding levels from other levels of other government bodies will be similar. We're expecting another challenging year with the pandemic, but we also expect that at some point in 2022, COVID restrictions will lift and we'll be able to generate more operating revenue like we have in the past, and have some of those revenue streams come back. We also know, so COVID hurts us because it increased certain costs and it impacts our revenues as well. In our new budget, there's a reflection of some increased costs due to inflation. We also would like to restore programming and a little bit beyond that. So we do have a beautiful new downtown location. So programming is an increase over 2021 for obvious reasons. There is very little programming that we can do. We want to get back to the programming we had done, and we also want to two components to have a few more events to draw people to our new location, a few larger events, and then also specifically budgeting for Indigenous honoraria. So the library's done a lot of work with our neighbors in Alexis and Paul, and sometimes funding those has been a bit of a scramble, and in this budget we wanted to make that a specific priority, that there's money available to do that. Our operating costs are increasing, and which is to be expected with the new building and the new way of doing things. Salaries and benefits, we're hoping to have a slight increase in salaries and benefits, which would allow us to hire a part-time staff member. That staff member would work a few hours a week, which would help alleviate busy times and reduce complaints. The other key benefit to that is that staff member would be able to fill in for shifts. So this past year with the pandemic, sometimes we've had 2 staff members out for 10 days at a time because of COVID protocols, and it quickly becomes apparent how much we need a little bit of flexibility in our staffing, so that myself and our other administrator aren't doing that frontline work and taking us away from preparing presentations like this and other related work. In order to keep this consistent with our funding ask from last year, so our operations have increased and our salaries have increased, and we've reduced our materials costs. And by doing that, we're able to keep consistent with last year's request. Did I forget any of those?
No.
So with that, I'm open to any questions council may have.
Thank you for your presentation, and I appreciate the hard work the library has done. I understand it has not been easy, definitely with the move and with the restrictions of COVID-19. So thank you very much for the dedication to make sure that our community and our residents are safe during that time as well. Before I go to questions of council, I just have one. I think you just, to start off, you mentioned of reducing the goods and supplies and materials to make the budget balance. How does that affect the overall operations of the library?
The bulk of that cut will be, I don't want to get too far into the weeds, but will be coming from disc media, Blu-rays and DVDs. That's partly achieved because Blu-rays and DVDs aren't getting produced at the same rate that they are. Not all movies that get released in theaters are still being released on DVD, so we don't need to buy them. There is an increased cost of the ones that are being released, but cutting that budget line specifically is where a lot of that comes from. And then otherwise, it's slight reductions in all of the other ones. So we'll still have a robust collection, and we'll still have a robust collection even with those cuts.
Thank you. And then with that, as a library, are we still able to borrow between different libraries and through the Yellowhead Regional Library as well, so that we don't need to have actually those physical things in our community, but we can just request them?
That's right. So we share materials with over 200 public libraries across Alberta, both as part of Yellowhead Regional Library and the track system and a few other mechanisms. So anything that's available at any of those libraries is available to Stony Plain residents.
Okay. Good, thank you very much. Members of council, any questions, comments? And again, there's also a agenda item which is also on 9.1, like council may also ask questions regarding. Councillor Bennett?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I thought I was going to coast on my last meeting and not be too involved, you know, I'll just sit here, but this is an area that I've always been very passionate about. So I have a list of questions, Mr. Mayor. I'll just ask them and you tell me to stop and then I'll come back. That's
Sure.
what you want.
Why don't you go ahead and ask one or two at a time so that they can get answered?
So first of all, I love the new branding. I think it looks incredible. Of course, I was part of the initial discussions of the new branding, and I love it. I love the way it shines on all of our stationery and all of our media presentations and print presentations. So that's one thing. Second, I read the report and it talked about fundraising and how we need to get a new coordinator of that. What's the latest though on getting a new consultant to help with the fundraising?
So the library did an RFP to tender in September that closed in October 1st. So this week we'll be reviewing applications and then interviewing. So we hope to have a new fundraising professional in place by the start of November.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay, so and provincial funding. When was the last increase that the provincial government gave the library? Do you remember?
2 years ago? 3?
I don't recall. I know the funding was stable over the last 2 years. I can look that up and get that information
That's
to
about
you
what
at a
I'm
later date.
remembering.
Yeah, I'm just curious, because the other part of that question is, I know there used to be Indigenous grants. I think that the YRL were coordinating that and giving out grant money. There was a great partnership between yourselves and Spruce Grove and some of the smaller libraries. Has that continued?
Yes, so there's been a delay in actually giving that money out. Just it's dropped on priority list because of the pandemic. The meeting for that is actually tomorrow, so that's prescient. And that will be a challenge. So that funding's still available, but it's, as it's written, it's for on-reserve or on-settlement services, which because of the pandemic might be challenging. So we have to figure out how we can actually use that money, you know, for what it's intended for.
You guys are creative. You'll think of something. The assistant library position, has that been filled when you moved into the librarian position?
Yes, it was a very long month not having that person. But yes, so Bonnie Daly has been hired as the assistant director of the library, and she's been in that role since April.
Was that an internal hire?
Sort of.
Technically, Bonnie had been in this position before, and had since had some other experiences, Edmonton Public Library and academic libraries, Grant MacEwan, U of A, and Stony Plain is home for her. So when the position became available, again, she was very excited for the chance. She had been working for us on an on-call basis, so technically it was an internal hire, but really it was, we did a full hiring process with, we had quite a few applicants actually.
Okay, good. One last question, Mr. Mayor. You've been very patient with me. The YRL allotment, does that continue? Have you had an increase in that to kind of offset the collections and the ability to order collections through the allotment?
The allotments increases a little bit. There was a jump a couple of years ago, and then otherwise it's been relatively stable, just minor increases. And I'm looking at Eric because he sits on YRL Council. I don't think there's any plan to increase the allotment substantially this year.
Thank you. Other than that, just good job, you guys. I love the new library. I hear all kinds of praise and accolades to the library and the design of it and the location of it. Makes us very proud.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Deputy Mayor, go ahead.
Yeah, just to your question about the YRL, so they're celebrating their anniversary this year, and I believe they increased the allotment to go with that.
Okay.
I think that's true.
I know they're buying more. We'll circle back. We'll get back to you.
Any other questions from members of council? Okay, see none. Let's see what I have listed. Oh, maybe just check in with yourself, Mark. How are you enjoying the new role?
It's busy.
Especially with the transition and everything else?
Yeah, it's been an interesting process. There's a lot to, obviously it's a new role for me, but I entered it at a time where a library director is doing a lot of things doing things that would be new to them anyway. So dealing with, construction issues and obviously the pandemic as well. So I think we're starting to get evened out into a more normal workload, and there was a bit of a gut punch. We had our programming ready to go for this fall, so I kind of was excited to get running the library like normal. And obviously that didn't pan out. All of our programming switched online. We had learned our lessons, so we were ready for that this time. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to the time where we can, sort of demonstrate the new library at its full capacity.
Thank you for that, and thank you for your commitment and dedication to this functioning library. Another thing is, you mentioned something about the self-checkout, which is a kind of new feature for this building. How is that being received by the patrons that are using the library?
Actually, can I speak to that, Mark?
Sure.
Actually, I just was going to comment that it is a new way of doing self-checkout, but we've had self-checkout for years. The kids really like it, for example. They like to be able to check out their own books. And it's sort of like, well, it's better than an automated teller because it's more fun. But this one is really cool because I like it because when you put your books there, it's just like there's no wait time. It's just like cling, cling, there it is. Like even I can run it.
At the old library, we had kind of a ramshackle version where we had all the parts and was running off a computer, and the uptake on it has been great. So I have looked at the usage statistics, and they're doing a lot of the work for us, which is great because some people, I'll be frank, hate it because they like talking to our staff. That's part of the reason they come to the library, which is wonderful to hear. The nice thing is that the self-check actually gives staff more time to talk to those people, but especially people that have more complex inquiries or maybe need some privacy with what they're talking about. So it's been well received, and they're working great so far.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Another question is, I think, as you mentioned, with COVID-19, you guys had to kind of think outside the box and expanded your programming to be outdoors, online, etc. And we see that continue to happen right now with the continued restrictions of COVID-19. Is there any plans to continue that after restrictions are lifted? I think that does meet a certain segment of a population that maybe would not come into the library, and maybe makes it a little easier if there was more activities online or just out and about in the community. Is that something that the library board or the library would continue to continue those programs even after the COVID-19 restrictions?
I think there's a bit of a wait and see there, because I think if you asked me that question early in the pandemic, I would have said absolutely. But the attendance for online programming has kind of gone up and down because, people are spending their whole day on screens, and then to spend their spare time on screens as well becomes quite an ask. The important thing is we know we have the capability in our new facility. If community groups are renting our rooms, they're able to have hybrid meetings, which has been great, and that there have been groups that have already used that. So I think some programs will look at doing that, but I'm I'm less sure that it will work. And maybe it won't work immediately after COVID restrictions lift, but maybe it'll work a year after that. It's nice to know that we're able to do it.
Okay. Thank you. And then I have two comments to pass along to you. I have received quite a few comments about the friendliness of the staff at the public library. I think you mentioned earlier that people do go to the library just to have interactions with the staff because they are friendly, they are knowledgeable, and definitely with the restrictions and the kind of isolation that's happening, it's nice to be able to get out and then just have a friendly conversation with them. So I just want to pass that along to you. And also another one was the accessibility and space that's in the new library, the ability to have a wheelchair to freely move, and people with mobility challenges don't feel like they're not welcomed anymore. It's easy to get into, it's easy to navigate, and it's easy to get out. So again, thank you for thinking of that when you guys are doing the redesign. That does help our community. And I've said many times that the libraries are no longer the old bricks and mortars and just books like they have been in the past. It is our new community gathering areas where young and old can get together, they can connect with loved ones from our province, outside of our province, and overseas through technology. And it's also a place for people to learn new things, do testing and etc. So it is the kind of the new community hub of our community, of our town. So thank you very much for the work that you do.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. Okay, members of council, moving on to our agenda number 5 is statutory public hearings. We do not have any tonight, so moving on to number 6, which is the RCM meeting for September 27th. Councillor Laurie, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll move the Town Council approve the regular council meeting minutes of September 27th, 2021 as presented.
Thank you very much, Councillor Laurie. Members of council, you had a chance to read them. Any errors, omissions, or questions regarding those minutes? Yep, I see none. I have none either, so I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, moving on to number 7, which is council boards committee minutes. Looking at the G, C, and C. Councillor Pletchko, please.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. The Town Council received the Growth and Commerce meeting minutes of August 24th, 2021 for information.
Thank you very much. Members of council, any questions for committee members or errors and omissions? No. Just one question to the members that were present. I think that's Deputy Mayor Meyer or Councillor Laurie. Regarding the C3, kind of incubators, I believe that's what it's considered. How did that go? And some of the follow-up on that? Go ahead, Councillor Laurie.
Thank you, Your Worship. C3 came in to do a presentation for the Growth and Commerce Committee. Unfortunately, the presentation did not go overly well. And so administration has gone back to the table and are looking at a couple of other potential partners that we can continue to work on this strategy with. So we're hoping to get some more information around that as the new council is formed, the new GCC is formed, and that will be brought forward at that time.
Okay, thank you. Anything to add, Deputy Mayor?
Well, C3 had they had a lot of information. They were a wealth of knowledge. It's unfortunate that we won't necessarily be working with them.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? See none, I'll call the question. Also in favor for information? Okay, that's carried. Well, number 8 is bylaws. We have none today that we're dealing with. So moving on to number 9, which is business items. First one is 9.1, is the Stony Plain Public Library 2020 funding. So we've had the presentation already. Councillor Bennett with the motion, please.
You want me to make the motion, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please.
I move the Town Council accept the Stony Plain Public Library 2022 funding report for information.
Okay, thank you. So administration, directing this back to you. The motion here is to accept for information. So in terms of the request, what happens to that during that gets vetted back into our corporate plan.
Your worship, members of council, the request that has been placed this evening from the library excuse me, is incorporated in our corporate plan process. And during the November dates, when we debate and deliberate on the corporate plan for 2022, that number will be captured in the financial documents and plans that you will see in that particular document. So at that time, council would have the opportunity to debate that funding, to alter, change, or provide direction to administration with respect to that funding.
Thank you. Members of council, any other questions and comments regarding the motion or the Stony Plain Public Library funding request? Deputy Mayor, go ahead.
Just a comment, Your Worship. Obviously, they're holding the line, and they are doing more than they have in the past with a larger facility. So that larger facility means they can do more. They will be looking to help us come out and for the community to recover from COVID by being a community, what's the word, gathering space. And I also wanted to just highlight their commitment to Indigenous-led programs. That's something that this council has expressed interest in, so you can see how they are going to help us move forward on that file as well. So I will be happy to support this.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any other questions, comments? Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor for information? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay, moving on to 9.2 is the golf course operational update. And again, this is for information, but go ahead, administration, you first.
Your worship, members of council, so as promised, over the last 2 years, we've been providing council with an operational update on the golf course. 2021, again, has been a tremendous year. Weather's certainly cooperated with the overall operations of the golf course. And for the benefit of those at home watching on TV, we'll do a quick slide review of the report that was provided to council prior to. So just the operational highlights very quickly. Basically operated in the COVID times that we did in 2020. There were less restrictions, or we were just better at flowing with the restrictions. Certainly once we hit stage 3 in July, a lot more of the golf course started to open up. With respect to, as an example, people were permitted to remove the flags at that point if they wanted to, rather than last year the flags stayed in 100% of the time. We also put more benches out, more garbage cans, and more ball washing types of devices out, which were not out last year. Rakes still weren't out this year. That was it's a high touch item. We also found that the golf rules permit you to move your ball to another like spot, and it really wasn't a detriment to the golf course as a whole with respect to not putting that piece of equipment back on. Power carts, still found that some people wanted to use a power cart themselves versus 2 people. Certainly something that if COVID restrictions are not in play next year, definitely a different strategy might be taken with respect to the insistence on one-person seats, as it does increase the wear and tear on our equipment, and certainly requires more cost for us to put that cart around the course. The leagues continued this year, very popular. All of them started in June on time. The 9 and 9 program started in July. The 3-hole course we did open in July simply because there were still restrictions through that first part of the course opening. And with July and the restrictions not there, it certainly made it better for us to offer that particular 3-hole course. We are tracking to see similar success as we did last year from an operational perspective, and maybe slightly better due to the weather and the additional play days that we had. So with the month of April, we started a bit earlier than we did last year, and we're certainly going a little bit longer this year, projecting to close at the end of this weekend. So 2020, we definitely didn't have those additional play days. Basically, from a statistics perspective, so rounds played, as just mentioned, we're projecting with the extra days in August, so we are projecting to have our final day of play on Sunday this weekend. We probably will near 34,000 rounds played. There was a bit of a reduction in our round count in May when restrictions reduced our tee sheet to about 30%. And just a reminder, that's when golf courses were restricted to households only or single play. So that certainly reduced our tee sheet a bit there. So like we might have been pushing into that 36,000 rounds played if that was the case. So certainly you can see we've increased in April and in October. We don't have the stats for October simply because we're currently in that month. So we can provide you accurate stats at this point for the start of the season to the end of September. So the stats shown this evening do reflect to the end of September. So as you can see, just based on that, we're about 2,000 rounds over last year, and we're projecting to add slightly over 2,000 or just around 2,000 more rounds by the time we finish the course this year. Driving range, as you can see, we did have a month of April and May. We weren't permitted those in 2020, so that certainly has impacted the overall revenues. And as you can see, they're up by about $20,000 this year, and most of that is due to the extra 2 months and likely the extra time that we'll have in October. It is part of the golf course that people do enjoy, and those that don't golf at our course, it certainly provides them the opportunity to go out there and try golfing. A lot of times you'll have husbands and wives, boyfriends, girlfriends, those type of arrangements out at the driving range, and husbands or even wives will be out golfing, and the partner will be on the driving range. And also it's a good spot for parents to take children to start learning the skills of golf. So it was quite busy this year, as you can see by the stats. Operational days, I think we all know 2021 was a very dry season, very little rain in 2021. We did have some warm weather, which certainly did impact our tee sheet from a different perspective. It was too warm for some people, so that middle part of the day, I wouldn't say it substantially impacted our tee sheets, but definitely there were some days where people found it too warm to play. Additionally, we've got the October and the April again this year. Last year, no days of play in April, and I believe we had a very limited play in October last year. So we're definitely tracking to have more in 2021. So that 156 represents to the end of September. So you add another 17 days of play onto there. So we're pushing closer to 170. At this time, Mr. Mayor, happy to take questions.
Thank you. Members of Council, any questions regarding the presentation from administration regarding the golf course operational to date, September 30th? Okay. Councillor Laurie, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. And I just have a general question for the General Manager in regards to our rates. I had a resident contact me not too long ago in regards to Stony Plain Golf Course not offering a seniors rate. And that had caused this gentleman who was a resident of the town to seek elsewhere because many other golf courses in the area do have a seniors rate. The bit of research I've done, our rates are very competitive, and I think our rates are actually very good comparative to courses in the region, whether there's a specified rate or not. But I'm just wondering, two different questions. Number one, do we have a seniors rate? If not, why? Which I think I kind of know the answer. And number two, can you refresh my memory, do we have a resident rate, or is there a resident discount as well?
Your Worship, through to Councillor Laurie, resident rate, immediately no, we don't have a resident rate. So you go to the golf course, it doesn't matter where you come from, you pay the same rate. With respect to the seniors, we do not have a seniors rate, but we do have a day pass rate. So 5-day pass, 7-day pass, which roughly is about the same cost as what we were charging for age group rates. Basically, we have found that the senior group play Monday to Friday primarily, so that 5-day pass. And we also do have punch passes that people can supplement some of those pass opportunities with. And we found that those 10-day or 10-game or 20-game passes are quite popular. People want to play at different golf courses, so the opportunity for them to buy a game pass from us for a committed number of rounds and then go to another golf course has been very successful for us. So I think we do offer a variety of opportunities for people to play golf at the Stony Plain Golf Course for a reasonable rate, and you're correct, our rates are quite reasonable and competitive. There is some work with our golf course staff and local golf courses to try and come up with some sort of regional review of our rates so that we're all competitive with each other rather than each of us having to go through who's low, who's high, who's medium. So they are doing a little bit of work related to that. Not sure where that will land, as golf courses are all trying to make revenue at the end of the day. So certainly Jeff has been speaking with his peers with respect to, is there an opportunity regionally to do something related to rates and a rate schedule or program, so to speak.
Excellent. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Any question regarding I think somebody mentioned the passes. I think last year when the manager was here and talking about the 10 game punch card, I believe it was, he said that was doing exceptionally well in terms of kind of uptake. Is that the same for this year?
Your Worship, certainly that 10 game pass is quite popular with people, and it's certainly an option that we provide individuals quite frequently. So I would say yes, the uptake has been probably equal to. I have to check with Jeff and his staff to see if it is better than the initial year that we offered it. So, but do know that it's quite popular with players.
Thank you. Councillor Plechko?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. You mentioned a bit ago regards to some upkeep and stuff like that regarding some of the equipment. I'm just wondering, one of the things I hear lots around our community is how wonderful the course is. One of the other things I hear is how not so wonderful our golf carts are. And I'm wondering what we may be looking in the future for that upkeep to improve that.
Sorry, Your Worship, Councillor Plechko, I just missed the what's not good.
Carts.
Golf carts. Yep. So thank you for the question, and through to Councillor Plechko, Your Worship. That fleet the lease is up, so we have gone through a procurement process to replace that fleet. So in 2022 season, you'll see a new fleet.
Thank you.
Yep. Sorry, Your Worship, just to add, that's typically on about a 5-year cycle.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions? Councillor Loy, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. And in past years, the golf course has been a burden to our finances as a town in general for several different reasons, operated at a substantial loss. Yes, we've had COVID and stuff like that, but I'm wondering if the general manager can either tonight or send out later on where we sit as far as our, overall operational costs for 2021 versus our revenues, whether we're in a plus, a minus, or a break-even standpoint.
Your Worship, through to Councillor Loy, I'll quote my finance peers. Until the audit's done, we can't tell you for sure, but I would suggest that we're in as an equally positive position as we were last year. So the golf course did realize a positive position last year, and we're on track to likely realize a positive position again. How well that position looks, at the end of the year, we'll definitely confirm that, but it's looking very favorable.
Yeah. Thank you.
Just to go a bit further along that question or that line of thought, I think yes, our Stony Plain Golf Course has had a strong couple of the past years, both this season and the previous season. Prior to that, council did identify that there were some challenges out there as to how the finances were coming in and looking, and frankly, Your Worship, I'm proud to say that our staff have worked hard on that and got a couple breaks perhaps on some of the COVID restrictions, allowing for, more opportunity to be on the golf course in certain ways. But I do think that we've turned that corner, and that the next few years for council and for administration will be to determine what's the strategic position of the golf course, and how do we what is it? What will it be? What does council see that looking like, and then how do we get there? There's as the general manager has mentioned, we've had a couple good I guess I'll channeling my finance background, but I would say a positive cash flow perspective. But there's other costs that are coming at us there, and council will have to weigh in on, how much of that potential surplus, cash surplus, whatever, remains in the golf course and goes to fund future costs and future capital expenditures and so on and so forth. So, I guess my own quick summary, yes, we've had a couple of good years and we're proud of that. And we've got a few tough questions to answer, all of us, over the next couple of years for the golf course.
Thank you for those comments, and thank you for the question, Councillor Loy. I remember in the beginning years when the golf course was, it was 1983, I believe, 1985, 1983. There was quite a few years of profits year after year, and at that time, that money was actually rolled into general revenue to offset tax increases. And then when things started breaking down, the golf course needed extra money to fix those and have those repairs and operate, and it was coming out of the tax base. Again, probably not the best way of doing it, so actually having any surpluses that is generated from the golf course be set aside for operational reserve for the golf course, so that prevents adding to the tax base so it gets lost, and then when they need money taken out of tax base, which people focus on as the town subsidizing the golf course. So I think having a better accounting of the profits and the losses of the golf course will give us a better understanding of that as well. Yeah. Any more questions for administration? See none. Councillor Loy, go ahead with the motion, please.
Yes, Your Worship, the Town Council accept the golf course operational report for information.
Okay, thank you. I'll call the question. All those in favor for information? Okay. And that is carried. Moving on to 9.3. And this is the third quarter of our strategic and corporate plan. Go ahead, administration.
Good evening, Your Worship and members of Council. Provided for your review and consideration is a report on the strategic plan and corporate plan progress of key initiatives for the third quarter of 2021. Beginning with the report on page 77 in your agenda package, I just would like to highlight a few items from the report. First, referencing our role as a partner in the Edmonton Metropolitan Region Board, the Regional Agricultural Master Plan was completed and approved by the board. Following that, shifting gears in September, the town's fiscal sustainability framework was completed and approved by council. Also in September, the development of the town's housing strategy was launched with initial public engagement through an online survey. Following in that vein of public engagement for the upcoming municipal election, the nomination period closed on September 20th. In late August, our economic development launched a Shop Local campaign to draw attention to the value of supporting local businesses and encouraging those in our region to think about shopping locally and supporting our local vendors. In September as well, TELUS began construction in Stony Plain residential areas on a multi-year infrastructure installation of pure fiber. Finally, the last item that I just wanted to highlight, during this quarter, a number of our cultural and social initiatives were celebrated, most notably including the continuation of summer sessions, the Midsummer Thursdays in our downtown, which was newly added this year, to enhance our downtown celebratory efforts. Alberta Culture Days was hosted again in September with our cultural facility partners. The Meridian Foundation mural, the final installation of the mural project with the Meridian Foundation was unveiled. We celebrated Neighbor Day on September 18th, as well as the inaugural September 30th National Truth and Reconciliation Day. Those are my comments regarding the report, and I'd be pleased to answer any questions of council at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Members of council, any questions regarding the Q3 update in terms of what has happened so far? Councilor Fletchko?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Reference is the Shop Local campaign. I'm just wondering how well that is working for our community, what our local businesses are thinking of it, and is there a plan to continue with it?
Through your worship to Councillor Paleschko. The Shop Local campaign at this point in time has garnered some strong engagement with our local business community. We have seen some uptake and are tracking the results of the online campaign and the interest that it's been generating. So we will be, I believe the campaign wraps up here in the next month. I think November is the wrap up for the campaign. So we will be providing a summary report on the results and how we can consider either expanding or adjusting that for future consideration. But at this point in time, I think we're pleased with the results so far.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Maybe just one in terms of support of infrastructure. Just a little while ago, TELUS announced that they're laying fiber in the communities. And definitely, they started a couple weeks ago. They will not be finished this year because there's actually more subdivisions to go. Does the administration have a timeline of which subdivisions and when they'll be getting completed?
Your Worship, the level of detail as to the timing for the subdivisions has not been provided to administration at this point. However, it is a multi-year project that's scheduled to flow through into 2023. And so we continue to have dialogue with TELUS as they are planning the rollout of the infrastructure installation, and certainly we'll be sharing, as it's made available publicly, the plans for the installation as the work progresses. But at this point in time, beyond what's been announced for this fall, the construction for this fall, we don't have any details that we can share publicly with regards to scheduling and phases at this point in time.
Okay. So whatever just has already been released is the information that we know.
Yes, Your Worship. The information is available on the town website. There is a map and detailed updates under the construction page of our website with regards to those subdivisions that are being undertaken for the installation currently in 2021.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Meyer, Deputy Mayor, go ahead.
Questions, if I could. Just turning to page 81, there's a couple of economic initiatives here that are under review. The first one being to collaborate with the business community to foster further development of the North Business Park and Highway commercial areas. I was wondering if I could get some type of further insight on that one.
Your Worship, through to Councillor Meyer, that item was added this year with the strategic plan update of council in the first quarter of this year. And administration is looking at an initiative that would be considered as part of the upcoming corporate plan presentation for council's consideration.
If I could have another one? Just, yes? Yes, thank you. Just in regards to our commitment to support and enhance our downtown, we have a number of plans that sort of focus on those, including the tourism master plan, as well as our Old Town redevelopment plan. I was wondering, in regards to those plans, how the initiatives there under review, if you could make a comment, or sorry, through you to administration, if administration could make a comment in regards to those plans and these initiatives.
Your Worship, through to Councillor Meyer, My initial comment would be that the primary focus at this point in time has been on the completion of the redevelopment of the downtown, so the construction that's currently just about wrapping up. And so that's primarily been the focus of significant resources and administration's time and effort in regards to the downtown. In addition to that, we have been developing plans, as you highlighted, the tourism master plan and some of the work around the expansion of the Old Town Community Plan that will take us into the next phases of how we can continue to support, a vibrant downtown community. Certainly, administration is preparing for those next phases and working on submissions within the corporate plan initiative that will be coming up in the fall, and how we can look to request that we allocate resources to the next stages of downtown redevelopment as well. So at this point in time, those are my comments as far as kind of status updates and where we're headed. But certainly more to come with the upcoming corporate plan and future as we move past the downtown redevelopment construction work.
See none. Councillor Pletchko, if we can have the motion, please.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. The Town Council accept the Quarter 3 2021 Strategic Plan and Corporate Plan Report for information.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Pletchko. Any other questions, comments? I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that's carried. Moving on to information items and council discussion. This is the time that council members can share things and make a few comments here and there. Start with Deputy Mayor. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just very briefly, this is the last council meeting of this term, and I'd just like to say, whether I get re-elected or not, I've certainly learned a lot, and I really appreciated this job and the opportunity to serve the community. And so just a big thank you to all of every one of my fellow councillors and administration. Thank you for the opportunity, as well to the town residents.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If you don't mind, I've got a few things to say tonight. It's my last council meeting, and I had an ad in the paper for 2 weeks in a row, and also on social media. I expressed my appreciation, my honor it was to serve this community for 14 years, and I walk around this town, drive around this town, and see a lot of facilities that were not here 14 years ago, when our biggest problem was the old thrift store on 48th Street and the old Stony Plain Motor Inn, and those are now gone. Check, check. Big hole in Folkestone Place, gone. Check. The mess that was out in Tiffany Greenfield, now a beautiful subdivision, a brickyard. Check. And so I'm feeling pretty proud of myself and the councils that I've worked with, and how much I've learned and developed as a person. But none of that, Mr. Mayor, is possible without our staff. And over the years, we've had staff come and we've had staff go, but the team that we have in place now is top notch. They are receptive to our residents. Sometimes they even have to say no to our residents, and they do it in such a way that people can appreciate that they at least have been talked to and listened to. Our SL team is it's situated in a way that it makes perfect sense in our organization, the way that we have it set up. And Mr. Mayor, I have to say that Mr. Golden, our town manager, has really created a wonderful organization here where people know what they're doing. They follow our strategic plan. In fact, we didn't even have a strategic plan when you and I were first elected. And so it's all a process, but we are trending and we are on top of things. So I would say to any of the candidates who are listening and to my fellow colleagues who are running for re-election, please feel assured that when you come and you sit right here in this chair, that you know that the team is working for you and they are supporting you, and it's part of your job to support them and read your packages and be prepared for the meeting and just open mind and be willing to learn and to pivot. We have really learned what that word pivot means. So, Mr. Mayor, thank you. And it's been a pleasure working with you. I know that our relationship will not end because I've watched your kids grow up and I love them all. One thing that I do really hope that we will continue to do is the sounds on our crosswalks. I hope that we have started on the path of preparing our town for diversity, inclusion, and for accessibility. I know our library was built specifically to host and be a home to, no matter what your abilities are or are not, that you are welcome there and that they have built that building for you. And I know that as we progress with our new rec center, with our Heritage Park, that those will be top of mind. So, yeah, thanks everyone. It's been great. See you on the trails.
Thank you, Councillor Bennett. Councillor Loy.
Thank you, Your Worship. And Vince, could you play Judy's message there again? Because she said it so eloquently and didn't leave anything out. I'm going to be a tad repetitive here, so whose voice do you want to listen to? Anyway, well done, Judy. Well done. Yes, I had the privilege, thanks to the citizens of Stony Plain, to sit on 3 different councils. This, too, is my last council meeting. Going to be on some trail somewhere, just don't know where it is yet. Waiting for the borders to open up, if the good Lord's willing. But yes, I want to thank all the people that I had the privilege of serving with, this council and the other 2. Mr. Mayor, William, want to thank you too. I think in my time you showed great leadership. You had a vision. You still have a vision, and it's a good vision, and you've been able to accomplish a lot. Like you said, Judy, here there wasn't this, and here there wasn't that, and now look at this and look at that. That takes leadership, and you've provided it. And the councils that you've been mayor for have been willing to follow you, not blindly. No, there were some times when I would look at you and have private meetings and say, "Are you nuts?" But then I just listened again and finally, yeah, okay, it's not that bad of an idea. I agree with you, Judy, on our senior leadership team. The strat meetings that we first started going on, I found them to be a little bit two-tiered, the elected officials with their senior leadership, but the last 3 or 4 have been more like an equal team where you people on the senior leadership team have been able to express your opinions, and that's exactly what we need. I'm not an engineer. I'm certainly not a finance person. I know a little bit about protective services, but I'm out of that business now. But we have to listen to the experts that we hire and bring on board to guide us. And if we decide not to be guided by their wisdom, their expertise, and their trained knowledge, well, I guess we really don't need them, you know, but that's not the case. So I encourage all councils, the next one coming along, and ones after that, to get to know the SLT, get to know other people within your administration, Tom, and learn what it's all about. Because no matter how good we think we are, it's always coming downhill, that the person who mows the lawns, the person who paints the signs, the person who waters the flowers, makes what we do good. And if they don't, we've done nothing. So I thank them all. I thank the citizens. I thank you all again, and good luck to the people who are on this council now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Loy. Councillor Laurie?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just start by thanking administration for the action on the fence at the storm pond on Highway 779 across from John Paul II. I know the fence hasn't been installed yet, or it's in that process, but glad to see that a safety issue was identified and we are taking action on it, and hopefully we will be forwarding the bill to Alberta Transportation on that one. Also just wanted to highlight a couple of things that obviously, you know, transit is something new in our community, and we do actually have free transit on election day, which I think is a great initiative. So again, a huge thank you to administration on that. Great to see that, and hopefully it'll help increase our voter turnout. You know, we were at 29% last election, 2017. We have a little over 14,000 eligible voters. So certainly hoping we can see as many people out at the polls as possible, especially with the great advance polling that we've had. Finally, I certainly will not take as long as my colleagues, but I definitely wanted to extend a heartfelt thank you to all of my colleagues here on this current council. It has been an honor and a pleasure to serve with you for the last 4 years. Wish all the best to those who are rerunning for election, as well as myself, and a special thank you to those who are stepping away from the role for various reasons. Both Councillor Matties, Councillor Bennett, and Councillor Loy. Your service to the town of Stony Plain is greatly appreciated, and as you mentioned, there are many things in this community that have your fingerprints on it, and it's something to certainly be proud of for the rest of your life. And I hope you get many, many years to continue to enjoy those, and to continue enjoying many of the things that we've worked together on that maybe haven't quite come to fruition yet, but I believe will in the following years. So know that you've had a huge part in those, and we sincerely appreciate your contributions to that. As well to our staff, to our senior leadership team, all the way down to our frontline staff. Again, being council representative for the last 4 years, it has been incredibly important to me to see how great of a team that we have here in the town of Stony Plain, and how hard you work for every single resident we have here in the town. Second to none. I will say that over and over and over again. It does not matter what department, it does not matter what level of staffing, we have the greatest team that I think we need for this town, and I look forward to that continuing. And then again, just a thank you to the community. It's been an honor to serve for the last 4 years. Obviously, I am up for re-election because I have enjoyed it that much, and I'm hoping that I do get the blessing of the community to continue on that role. But whether I do or not, the ability to sit in this chair for the last 4 years, work with my colleagues here, work with our administration, and again, put my fingerprints and represent the people of the town to put their fingerprints on what we've been able to achieve over the last 4 years has been nothing short of an honor. So appreciate that, and thank you very much, Mayor Choi, for your leadership over the last 4 years. Again, many ups and downs, and you've handled them with tact, grace, and dignity, and I appreciate that. That shows a true strength of character on you, so thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Laurie. Councillor Pletchko?
Thank you, Your Worship. Where to start? I think everybody said just about everything that they can be said today, but I'm going to say what I need to say regardless. First off, I want to start by thanking the residents of Stony Plain. Without you, we wouldn't have a council, we would have no community, and we would have no heart or desire to build something better. So I thank you, each and every one of you, from the bottom of my heart. It has encouraged me to run again for council, and I'm hoping to be re-elected, so I look forward to many more conversations. If not, I will be in the community at a different level to serve the community again. So regardless of whether I sit in this chair or not, I think you will still see me around the community on many volunteer boards. Secondly, I want to thank this council. This council sets the pace, or any council actually sets the pace for what happens in a community. And without the knowledge that sits at the table, that direction is hard to move forward. There's many needs in a community, and it takes many people to figure out what that priority is and set some strategic goals for it. So thank you, each and every one of you, for that along the way. And finally, I want to thank administration, because you put the goals forward that we think are important for our community. So the SLT team, you sit at the top, you listen to what we have to say, you have great input. 4 years of strategic planning, I have learned a ton from you, and continue to learn on a daily basis as we talk throughout it. But without the employees that we have at the town, that still would not be able to be accomplished. So having the SLT team, their people underneath them, take the grunt work and get it done. So this whole community is what it takes to build a community. And that's what we've done here today, is we've built a great community, and we'll continue to build a great community with whatever new council sits here. So hopefully, as we move along, we get to see some of the things that are still on the table that haven't quite got to fruition. As you sit through this chair, you will learn really quickly. Fruition is not a 12-month period. It takes a long time to get some projects to the table. But there is some short-term gains that we've also gotten along the way, and those help to keep the others going. Thank you mostly to Mayor Choi. You have been a great leader. You will continue to be a great leader at any capacity that you serve our community. So I thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for all that you've done over the 4 years, and it's been an honor to be here at this table. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Councilor Fletchko. Town Manager.
Thank you, Your Worship. I appreciate the opportunity to make a few comments. To begin, much appreciation to the kind words for myself, for my leadership team, and for every single member of this organization. I can tell you without a question of doubt that I'm proud to work with each and every one of them. The people in this organization are the ones that I draw my strength from when times are tough. And we've been through some tough times this last couple of years. And they're a proud group, they're a hardworking group, and they want nothing more than to serve the people of this community. To yourself, Your Worship, and to the rest of council, I would encourage you. I know you're busy people. I would encourage you to take some time to reflect on what you've achieved together, your place in this community. I do spend the odd time looking at the council pictures, looking at the mayor's pictures that are up on the wall there, and we have all been given an opportunity, and we're extremely fortunate to be a part of something that's much bigger than any single one of us. I've heard it from you, a bunch of you mentioned it already. Stony Plain is an absolutely second to none community to live in, to work in. We're lucky, we're fortunate. We've been given a real opportunity to simply be stewards of that and to guide it and hear from the community, but to shape what it can be. And it's a privilege that sometimes you need to actually reflect on and spend some time thinking about to really allow it to set in. So I would encourage council, when you have an opportunity, to do so. Your Worship, rest of council, it's been a pleasure. The past 4 years has been an absolute pleasure. Like any other position of leadership, there are difficult times, and that's when we need to come together as leaders, as communities, to work through those. I'll leave it at that, Your Worship, and we will see where we go from here. But given the history of this great community, Your Worship, it's well assured that it'll be somewhere very positive.
Thank you, Town Manager. Okay. I just want to provide some final comments and thoughts before, as this is our last council meeting as this current council. Wow. Members of council and our community and our staff, we have accomplished a lot when you think about where we started 4 years ago. 4 years ago, we just got elected. We've come together, we've listened and we learned, and we've had the courage to share openly and honestly with each other. Through this, we're able to have a better understanding of where each of us comes from and why, especially why, we debate important issues the way that we do, right? We may not always agree, but we always respect each other's opinions and choices. Some of the major highlights that we've accomplished in this term is definitely the opening of a brand new library for our community, a robust replacement plan for aging infrastructure, a quality pavement index for roads so that we can have good infrastructure to travel on, the first of many trail connections between the city of Spruce Grove and town Stony Plain, something that we've worked on for many years. We've also been really good at lobbying other levels of government. No other community has got 2 schools started within their term. We were successful in advocating for a replacement school for Stony Plain Central, and we also got a Francophone starter school. Huge accomplishment for this council. As well, we were able to lobby Alberta Transportation to finish 779 after a 10-year project that started 10 years ago. The groundwork that we did and that we laid for our community is legacy work. It's the foundation that will enable us future prosperity and competitiveness of our community. So remember that. As you heard many times around the table, sometimes it takes quite a few years for plans to come into fruition, to get things accomplished. But the stuff that we do is legacy work. Bruce, thank you for joining me for 9 years. I appreciated your strong, silent leadership. I could always lean on that. You're always there to say what's on your mind, and in a matter-of-fact way that makes me think. It also keeps us rooted in conversation at what is at hand when we get off topic. Thank you for your commitment. Enjoy your retirement and time with your family. Harold, I appreciate your never give up attitude, your passion to sit at the table, your ability to view things in a different perspective allows us to expand our thought process and make better decisions on council. I've also appreciated the candid conversations we've had in which you helped me grow in my role. So thank you. Eric, from the first day when I met you at a summer session, I don't know if you remember that, you came to me and said, I'm Eric Meyer, and I want to be on council with you. Your commitment and dedication at that time burst at the seams, that you wanted to represent our community. And that shows today. From right after getting elected, from seeing you almost drown in the knowledge and the understanding of what's required to be a councillor, to now, where you've learned to govern. Over the past 4 years, you've evolved into a good councillor, and I hope you continue to grow to become a great councillor. Linda, I know she's not here, but maybe she's listening. Linda, definitely you're a woman that knows what she is and what she wants, and definitely not afraid to show it. We can always count on you to make a stand and make sure that we all know where you stand and where that line is. We appreciate that. You're a great advocate for the residents and a wonderful member of this team. I know you have many things at the table, and you had to step away at this point in time. But I hope that you'll be back at one point in time, back at this table, to support and provide leadership for our community. Justin, your research and understanding is far beyond your age. Sometimes you sound like an old, retired lawyer. I don't know if that's just your natural calling, but that's what you sound like sometimes. The preparation and insight that you provide to council is always beneficial to us. And enlightening, because you do a lot of work and commitment to see the underlying issues. Our community has benefited from your dedication and commitment, and I wish you luck in the next election. Judy, thank you for keeping the community in our hearts and our minds as we discuss and debate things at the table. Many issues come down to budgeting. But it's always on you to remind us, it's not always about the dollars and cents. It's about the people of our community and what we want to offer them. Why do people love living here? And I think you're a great example, a shining example, and an ambassador of why people love living here. Thank you for your dedication and commitment as a counselor, a resident, and a friend. Enjoy your retirement and those cute, adorable grandkids. Tom, and to our administrative staff, thank you for the work, the hard work. The work that is seen every day, but not very well acknowledged. So on behalf of our residents and council, I'd like to acknowledge the work that you guys do to beautify, to make safe, and to create a lot of memories for our residents. Everything that we have as a community is not possible without the work that is done by our staff. Thank you for believing in council, listening to our ideas, no matter how crazy they may be or far out, but sitting with us at the table to come up with a direction, a strategic plan of where we want to see our community be today, tomorrow, and well into the future. We are maturing as a community, and there will be some growing pains. But as the Maclean's magazine ranked Stony Plain as the second best community to live in the metro region, bodes well for our residents, our taxpayers, and our citizens. Our administration has the hands, the leadership, and the qualities that will get us to the next level as we mature. And last of all, to our residents, thank you. It has been an honor and privilege to be here as the mayor to lead this council and this community over the last 9 years. It's never been an easy job because no matter what we do, we take some blame from someone that didn't like what we did. Council's here stood fast and stood tall about the choices and decisions that we made, that we feel that is better for the community. With your help, your input, Council is willing to make our great town exceptional. And I too will be putting my name forward again for re-election. And hopefully I'm at this council table on October 18th to help guide, work with the council and administration to make our community that much better. So then, thank you very much. And it has been a pleasure over the last 4 years. Thank you. With that, we are adjourned.